Play Gun Lake Casino. I guess I should begin by saying congratulations to the Yukon men. There's a reason why those futures bets had so little payout if you went with Yukon. It's incredible. It's like, and they knew, like the odds makers, they knew. I, of course, took Bama. I rode that for a while, but in the end, it was the Yukon men. What an exciting finish for both the men and the women. And I'm thrilled for the ratings for the women. There was a reason why that payout was so small. If you like going to the casino, you're going to love the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook. The sportsbook is what I've been recommending. Have you ever tried the Rocky online slot machine? That's fun. Bring the casino right to your home. How about a little blackjack, roulette, Texas Hold'em with a live dealer right on your phone? All the action, all the excitement from the casino right at your fingertips from wherever you are in the state of Michigan. The Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app, safe and simple and easy to use, daily promotions, live dealers, and more. Play Gun, part of the Bet Parks network. The only app that I recommend, hundreds of hot slots and table games, play all your favorite classic casino games, everything right there in the pocket. Download the Play Gun Lake online casino app right now. Get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down to the first 24 hours. That's for new users only. The casino bonus has to be wagered. Terms and conditions apply. See the website at playgunlake.com for details. Got to be 21 and in Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Headlines now from the Tuesday edition of the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. There's a part in the presentation that I make for the Mingle Project where I talk about technology and the impact that it has had on adolescents and the different ways in which it impacts the girls and the boys. And I go through those alarming mental health statistics for the women, not the least of which is that 24% of American high school girls have actually made a suicide plan. That's according to the CDC. That's data that came out in January of 2023 based on a sample size of 17,000. Lest you think it's a couple of people and maybe the data's not good. But then I talk about the young men, and I say that a news story caught my eye that talked about how nearly half of all young adults are single. Nearly half of all young adults are single. 34% of the women, 63% of the men. And by the way, mathematically, you say, how's that possible? It's because more of the women are marrying older men. And I'm very concerned about our younger men being left behind. The share of young men who have 6 or more close friends, which in 1990 was 55%, in 2021 had shrunk by half. How about this? Those with literally 0 close friends, which had been 3% in 1990, has zoomed to 15%. A story in The Hill that I rely on says that men in their 20s are more likely than women to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. And many of the young men are turning to social media and online porn, which brings, it's so difficult, to be a young person, I think, today with technology. My God, how many times have I told the joke about getting in trouble with a Xerox machine? There's only so much you could do with that Xerox machine. Things have changed. There was a story that caught my eye a couple of days ago. We covered it in the newsletter. I'm not sure whose link it was. I'm looking now at an NBC link talking about the Beverly Hills Unified School District, which voted recently to confirm the expulsion of 5 middle school students who were accused last month of using generative AI to create and share fake nude images of their classmates. This according to the LA Times. It became national news after Beverly Vista middle school officials began investigating the incident, and the police department launched its own criminal investigation. 5 students and their victims in the 8th grade. I could so easily see this. I'm not proud of it, but my God, I can imagine, with a couple of buddies doing something stupid back in the 8th grade.
It's like
it's so easy to do.
So easy to do. I went when I was looking for stories like this, the websites that allow you to do it pop up immediately, and they're like, free, easy, seconds, and that's what happens.
And the quality is good, meaning good in the sense that you can't tell.
No.
The Beverly Hills case, and I'm building to something that's going to take me to AOC, but work with me for just a moment.
We're with you.
The Beverly Hills case followed a string of incidents around the world over the past year involving AI-generated fake nude images of school-age children. The number of cases has exploded as AI technology has reached mainstream audiences, and apps and programs that are specifically designed and advertised to undress photos and swap victims' faces into sexually explicit content. They've proliferated. False and misleading AI-generated images, videos, and audio clips are often referred to as deepfakes. And to TC's point, today it is faster, cheaper, and easier than ever to create a sophisticated fake item. Okay, now in the newsletter today, you'll see a story from Rolling Stone, and it's about AOC. And it begins this way. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was in a car talking with her staffers about legislation and casually scrolling through her X mentions, formerly Twitter, when she saw the photo. It was the end of February, and after spending most of the week in D.C., she was looking forward to flying down to Orlando to see her mom after a work event, but everything left her mind once she saw the picture, a digitally altered image of someone forcing her to put her mouth on their genitals. Adrenaline coursed through her, and her first thought was, I need to get this off my screen. She closed it out shaken. She said there's a shock to seeing images of yourself that someone could think are real. And then she goes on to describe further her reaction to it and the fact that she's now championing this. I don't know if I was aware of this. Maybe I forgot it. I didn't recognize that she was herself a survivor of physical sexual assault. And she said this adds a particular level of dysregulation. It resurfaces trauma while I'm trying and I'm in the middle of an effing meeting. She says, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
She's not yet publicly announced it, but she says she's working on a new piece of legislation to end non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfakes.
Well, I mean, it's interesting when you say to end. In other words, what laws are on the books now? It's one of those things that you and I have said over and over again.
Don't know how you police it.
That the technology is so far ahead of the legal or even the societal. Like it's like we're caught flat-footed because it happens before we can figure out how to deal with it. I mean, I feel like this is what we're dealing with disinformation in the political campaigns. I mean, this is what we're going to deal with the election.
And
this is how do you combat that?
And remember the liar's dividend,
Correct.
Which means, and I'm not making reference to AOC, but if you had a politician who was caught doing something inappropriate, like really caught, and there was a picture.
Well, or real pictures were taken from her phone, which has happened before.
Right.
In other words, like maybe a sexting situation. She could say, "Wait, that's not me," or "I didn't
exactly
do that."
Right.
I didn't, and for sure,
someone whose behavior is culpable now gets to say that must have been created.
Right.
I can only imagine the trials that are going to play themselves out in our future where individuals say that and a jury is called upon and then expert testimony is brought to bear. Do you have an opinion within a reasonable degree of XYZ certainty that image is legitimate? Yes, I do, Your Honor. And what is that opinion? And then they offer their opinion.
And pornography obviously is legal. So now what do? Do you say, okay, these sites are okay? What is, in other words, what is the benign reason for having these undress in 2 second sites?
What
just for
also
fun?
Do you say and do with the Beverly Hills 8th graders? I mean, I'm sympathetic. I imagine these are young men and they were doing bad things relative to images of young girls.
It's way disproportionate that way.
Yeah, I would think. I'm very sympathetic to the reputational loss and the harm
Trauma.
that would come to the young
Sure.
girls. I'm also mindful of the fact that they're 8th graders and their brains are not fully formed and their lives ought not to be ruined for their stupidity and misjudgment what they did then. There's something else in the Jonathan Haidt book. Haidt talks about the disparate impact of technology. Yeah, I'm still on a Mingle theme. I'm still caught up in the Mingle project.
What do you mean still?
And will be for a long time.
I think that is not a day goes by. It's interesting once you get involved.
Once you are in the
once you're
loop,
part of
you
the
see
loop,
the world differently.
Yes. Once you are part of the Mingle project, and this has obviously been something that I've been a part of for a while, but it really cemented itself on Sunday with the 2 shows.
Thank you.
And I thought every single person sitting in these seats is now going to go out and they're going to see a story, more than one, every single
different frame of
day.
reference.
And it's a different frame of reference.
Totally.
You realize how much it's not just
Totally.
and it's not just political. There are things that are happening in our society that are not political, but it's all one big picture.
Well, one of the things that Jonathan Haidt talks about in his book, he talks in The Anxious Generation about the disparate impact on young men and young women, and how with young men, they are becoming less, they're becoming more risk adverse.
Yeah.
They're retreating into their shells, into their cocoons, into their bedrooms. They're not stepping out. They're not socially active. With regard to young women, and this is a gross simplification, there's so much more to this subject, but he talks about how quantity becomes the currency for girls in social media. The boys are drawn more to YouTube. The girls are drawn to other social media platforms, not the least of which is TikTok. And to get quantity, risque behavior is often your ticket. And that girls, when they cross that line, not like in a fake sense, like I've been discussing, but they're immediately victimized and called the slut word.
Slut shamed.
Where if it's a boy and they're involved in risque behavior, it's funny. It's like a funny thing. Yeah. And among their peers, it's cool. It's cool. Serious subject. Can I just say that on the website at Smerconish.com, if you click on the Mingle Project, I'm so proud of this feature, and we're about to expand it. You can look at all the book jackets of the author interviews that I've done that have,
I have to say, it's
relevance.
So cool. I just
you
love
click on it,
the Mingle Project on your website.
And you listen to the interviews.
Yeah.
I'm extremely proud of it. So there you go. Read the AOC story. Okay, more headlines now from the Tuesday edition of the newsletter. This caught my eye for obvious reasons from the Atlantic, obvious reason being that I was born and raised in this county. The RFK Curious Women of Bucks County. Bucks County,
what a great headline.
In the burbs of Philly. And explain, TC.
So RFK Curious Women of Bucks County is exactly what it sounds like. There are groups of women in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is indeed where you were born and bred, and they don't like Trump and they don't like Biden. And so they are looking at RFK and wondering if perhaps that is, who they should turn to. They said, this is interesting. So this is written by, hang on, I'm going to make sure I get Elaine Godfrey wrote this, and she writes, I'd already assumed Biden and Trump are competing for in November. The problem for the two candidates, none of these women likes either of them. I'd already assumed as much based on poll numbers, but these suburbanites dislike their options with an intensity that was almost startling. If other swing state voters feel similarly, the long-ordained Trump-Biden rematch could be even more volatile than expected.
They focus in this piece, among others, on Lynn Kelleher, who's a 66-year-old realtor. Last week, Kelleher invited me to talk politics over wine and pizza with her and 7 of her friends. The group, which ranged in age from 37 to 69, was not a scientifically representative sample. Everyone was white, most either inclined to the center or leaned right. All were frankly disgusted with their current choices. Trump is repugnant, the women agreed, while most of them viewed Biden as ancient and incoherent. Believe it or not, this is a quote, I'm hoping one of them drops dead before the election.
Oh, no.
One told me. We don't hope for that, but it's a very interesting piece. Yesterday, 27,603 votes. A lot of votes cast.
Are we going to push 30,000 on a weekday here?
I would love that. I'd love to get to 30,000 on a weekday and 50,000 on a Saturday.
That's respectability.
Those are the next targets. 27,603. Do you support a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks? 80.49% said no, they don't. The rest said yes. I admit that I crafted that poll question the night before, meaning Sunday night, when it looked like Trump was going to buy into the 15-week ban as a national standard, and then he didn't. And instead, yesterday he said that he just wants to leave it to the states, which has earned him the ire of some conservatives. Politically speaking, that's okay, because where are they going to go in this election? So I might do the just leave it to the states at some point in the near future, but it was still an interesting poll question. 80% don't want 15 weeks. How about today's poll question? Does it help or hurt Trump politically to say that he favors immigration from the nice countries? Denmark and Switzerland and Norway. You'll remember he referred to the S-hole countries while he was president. This statement was behind closed doors in Palm Beach at a fundraiser last weekend. He was talking about immigration. He was talking about what he had said with the S-hole countries. And then he took it a step further and he said, and of course people want to replace nice with white. Why did he just say white? Because it seems like that's what he's talking about. Does it help or hurt him politically? Go to Smerconish.com and cast a ballot on today's poll question. Also in the newsletter today, Jack Oman is our Tuesday editorial cartoonist. You'll want to check out the illustration that he drew for the newsletter today. Timely again,
the total eclipse of women's reproductive freedom. So going on yesterday's solar eclipse and the political headlines, and it is a good one.
So the eclipse, what did you do?
So I actually just thought it was absolutely amazing. And I know a lot of people
Did you see anything here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you not?
It got a little dark.
Did you use glasses?
I didn't need them because it got a little dark.
Okay, so you didn't do anything. That's what I'm hearing. So while you were,
I watched TV. I watched the
in,
people of Texas on TV.
Texas was very cool.
Texas that looked great.
Texas was in the path of totality, meaning that the moon totally blocked out the sun.
Right.
We were something like, I don't know what it was, like 88%, which is astonishing how bright it still was. It definitely got cooler. It definitely got darker, but it was not. I mean, in Texas, it was full dark. The street lights came out. The birds started chirping like it was dusk, and it was nighttime for 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Here, you needed the glasses, and you started around like 2:06. You started seeing chunks come out of the sun. I was on the roof of my apartment building. More people were up there than I've ever seen. It was so much fun. It was awesome.
Were you mingling on the roof?
I was mingling.
I'm sure
I thought
you
of
are.
you.
You were mingling with the eclipse.
I met all kinds of people. A very nice woman named Kate was sitting next to me. I met Stuart and Tom and Maddie. And
hello.
I was all about it.
Was everybody wearing glasses?
Everybody was wearing glasses. It was so cool, like craning up looking.
It's nice.
And then
look, it's a good mingling, bonding moment.
It was, Michael, it was absolutely, you felt connected. You felt small.
Yeah.
Because here's this moon and sun situation. I was very moved by the whole thing.
My favorite stories of the coverage, and in a variety of different communities, are the animal stories.
That's my favorite
and
too.
The zoos and what went on with the animals.
The
I just think
mated, the giraffes ran rampant.
The tortoises mated.
That's what happened.
They closed deals.
Stuff went on.
Will there be like 9 months from now eclipse babies?
Eclipse babies for sure. I mean, a bunch of people got married in Arkansas, whole group.
Please don't think that I'm linking one with the other from a causation standpoint. I am not. I'm just bringing this up in the context of the world around us. But do also see the BBC story today. The warning came as data showed last month was the world's warmest March on record, extending the run of monthly temperature records to 10 in a row. Holy smokes. Today we're going to get to like 77 degrees.
77.
We're going to get to 77.
Which is amazing.
I'm just, it's so hot. It's so, on my patio, I won't belabor the point here, but I've got to take some remedial measures because it has just become too hot to sit on the patio in the backyard.
Really?
Yeah.
But
in the last, we lost a tree.
Oh.
But it's just in the last 10 years. It's just,
so in other words, does the sun come sort of beating down there?
Yes.
Okay, so I have friends that have that, and they have a really cool like canvas, almost like a sail material, like a canvas drapes.
Okay, so I guess pergola is what I would use to describe what I'm looking for, and I'm thinking not of canvas.
Okay.
That would totally block out the sunlight.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of
sheer.
I'm thinking of going with the.
Like what am
I trying to say?
You're trying to think of
cross pieces.
Yeah, no. Shutters.
No, I'm really not. I'm trying to come up with I don't know why I'm perplexed and not able.
Shutters?
No, I don't want to totally. I'm thinking about doing something that's a partial screen. That's what I'm trying to say. So that they're going to be slats that cross but don't totally block. And then maybe I'll wish that I had the canvas.
Yeah, don't do that.
March of 2024 was 1.68 Celsius warmer than pre-industrial times. This is the BBC coverage.
Wow.
Before humans started burning large amounts of fossil fuels, according to the EU's Copernicus Climate Change Service. For now, longer-term warning trends are still pretty much consistent with expectations, and most researchers don't yet believe that the climate has entered a new phase. Mike Murphy, related to this, writing for Politico, I believe, a piece that we linked to in the newsletter today. Mike Murphy's a Republican strategist. He's a never-Trumper Republican strategist, but he's a guy who goes back, having worked successfully on many different Republican campaigns, and just says, like, the GOP has blown it on electric vehicles. That's a really good piece that you also ought to read today in the newsletter. And then I love this story about New Jersey, you know, the so-called diner capital. Speaking of mingling,
right?
Diners are great for mingling.
You love diners.
I love diners. There's a diner close to us that I go to probably solo once every 2 weeks. And I go and I sit at the lunch counter, and I love being there, and everything moves. So there's turnover, and everything is safe.
By the way, you would run.
Do you know what I mean?
You would run a good diner.
You think so?
Yeah, because you know exactly what it takes. You just said it. Like, you need fresh coffee, you need you need fast service.
You need employees that you can call Hun.
Hun? No, that you call Hun or they call you Hun?
Both ways.
Both ways. Okay.
I'm a diner fan.
Yeah.
I'm a total diner fan. Diners are good.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives. My favorite show.
I had an Uncle Al who is long gone, and Uncle Al was like a diner guy. He would work in diners. He loved diners. He would travel and visit diners. He just, like, diners were his thing. He worked in a diner that was right on the New Jersey side of the Lincoln Tunnel. Holland Tunnel. Holland Tunnel.
Okay.
And my brother had just started a job, you know, fresh out of college, like working for AT&T. And he was wearing what was then the required uniform of the white shirt and the conservative tie and so forth. And so one day my brother was coming out of New York City, comes out of the Holland Tunnel, goes to the diner right there. And my Uncle Al is working in the kitchen. And so he says to, you know, whoever greeted him at the diner, is Alex, his name was Alex Blazevich. Is Alex Blazevich here? And no, we don't know any Alex Blazevich. No, there's no Alex Blazevich here. And my brother's like, you sure? And they thought my brother was like a tax collector or the government.
Him.
Like, right. Like, no, he's not.
Nothing to see here.
He's
nothing
not
to
here.
See here.
Right. Uncle Al was from, I'll close with my Uncle Al story of choice, which is that Uncle Al was from Macedonia. And his family, when they came to the United States in the Pennsylvania Poconos, opened a bakery. And one day a guy comes back with a loaf of bread and says, you sold me this bread. It's got a roach in it. And the family lore is that Uncle Al reached into the bread for whatever it was and ate it and said, that was a raisin. So I leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Go eat a raisin. See ya.